Thank you for joining us for another episode of PROXUS Perspectives and Business Insights. I'm your host, Matt Roessler, Director of Business Development. As a human capital management technology provider, PROXUS has the good fortune to partner with many of the area's top professionals in employee benefits, human resources, and financial advising, as well as our area's top businesses and nonprofits. With a background in human resources management and consulting, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to spend time talking with these individuals to bring you impactful perspectives and business insights. Join us periodically as we spend a few minutes diving into different relevant topics. With me today, I have Shane Carlson, Vice President with BeneServ, a local corporate benefits services group. I've had the opportunity and pleasure to work with Shane and his team to support several joint clients over my 7+ years with PROXUS. This includes both my time as an HR consultant, as well as more recently implementing benefits administration, HRIS, and payroll technology services. So Shane, take a minute here and let our listeners know a little bit about you and BeneServ.
Yeah, sure, Matt. Well, thanks for having me today. For the past 10 years, I've been a broker at BeneServ, and we're a benefits consulting firm. We've been serving Philadelphia for over 30 years, and we help companies design and administer employee benefit programs. That includes health, dental, vision, life, disability products. We also help companies develop strategies to lower costs for themselves and for their employees, whether that's through self-funding or alternative funding products. And then recently, our clients have leaned on us, heavily for advice on how to maintain their benefit programs and keep up with all the changes in the industry.
Very good. And, along those lines, when you said keeping up with changes in industry and things, a lot of my conversations recently have revolved around payroll, earnings codes, tax credits, payroll protection loan, but also insurance carriers have, been adjusting their services, billing, and other practices to assist their employers and individuals to cope with the fallout from COVID-19. I know employers are faced with the financial and administrative struggles, while employees certainly are faced with drastically reduced ability to obtain, in-person care in a lot of situations, and possibly, if they were to have to go on COBRA, insurmountable premiums related to, just COBRA costs. Along those lines, what are insurance carriers doing over the past 7-8 weeks to help their employers' administrative and financial burden?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think it's been kind of a catch-up game for the carriers to figure out what they can do to help employers. But like you said, the premium deferment plans, Blue Cross, we've been really busy with that. So they're allowing companies to defer either their April or their May bill, and that's going to be repaid in the fall. So they're going to spread it out over August, September, and October. The April deadline has already passed for that, but companies can still defer their May bill at May 15th. So that's going to be the deadline for that. So I would advise reaching out to your broker. Everything needs to flow through them for that. So all the paperwork and everything needs to go through them. So just reach out and see what you need to get done. And then beyond that, Blue Cross and some other carriers are allowing groups to pay premiums with a company credit card. So they're just trying to provide as much flexibility as possible to get through this time. And then, other carriers like Aetna, if maybe they don't have this premium deferment plan set up as far as being official, but they are allowing groups to extend that grace period. So whether they have a 30-day grace period to make payment, they're extending that 30 or even 60 days for their April or May bills. Point being, carriers are trying to stay as flexible as possible, just allowing employers to reach out, and even if it's something that may not be written down, they can ask for like a customized payment plan. So it's worth reaching out. Dental carriers, MetLife just reached out to everyone saying they're going to have a premium credit of 25%. So you can imagine, most dental offices are closed right now. Members can't even use their dental benefits. So there's going to be a huge reduction in claims. So they're trying to give some of that back, and they're giving 25% of your premium for April and May back. And I'm sure you're going to see this more and more with other dental carriers, just like you've seen with the car insurance companies out there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's interesting because they're kind of following suit with exactly that. The car insurance, auto insurance, and I would imagine, to your point, it's one of these things where once one carrier goes, the dominoes are going to fall, and others are going to kind of fall in line here. They'd have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point. MetLife is the first carrier I saw do it, and that just happened maybe 2 days ago. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more carriers reach out about that. And then, administratively, the health insurance carriers are trying to give some flexibility as far as your plans go. So I'm getting a lot of questions from clients on, can I downgrade my plan to save money? So it just depends on what market you're in. So Aetna is allowing it for most of their clients. Blue Cross is not allowing it in the 2 to 50 market, but they are allowing it in the 50 plus or 100 plus. So it just depends. I mean, I would reach out to your broker, see if that's available to you. And then beyond that, they're eliminating or relaxing the eligibility guidelines. So, normally there's uh, the requirement or the guideline that you need to be full time to be eligible for the benefits. Well, obviously there's a lot of furloughed employees or employees that are temporarily laid off. So eliminating these guidelines and requirements allows employers to keep their staff on the benefits, even if they're dropping down to, the skeleton crews and reduced hours. Again, it's something that you can reach out to, your broker or your HR admin, just discuss those programs, see what programs you can take advantage of.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, I was just having a conversation with our CPA here, and one of the analogies he kind of used related to the PPP loans and some of these tax credits is it's almost like the government's kind of flying an airplane and building it at the same time. And it doesn't sound like it's all too different with the insurance carriers. You mentioned MetLife just coming out 2 days ago with their premium, the credit, and playing a little bit of catch up here. So that communication where we keep saying, keep in touch with your payroll provider, keep in touch with your CPA. I mean, it sounds like it's the same exact thing here for your broker, because all of this is changing on a consistent basis or on a regular basis where, you don't want to necessarily miss something just because you weren't having that communication. So a lot of what you just described there, Shane, are, on the employer side or the plan sponsor side, right? How about individual employees? What are health insurance carriers doing to help their members?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of it is mainly focused on the employer side, but we've been seeing some, information come out of the carriers where they're trying to enhance some of the benefits for their members. Obviously, a lot of people want to know about, the COVID testing or costs. Well, the CARES Act that mandated that all carriers need to cover the COVID testing. So that's being done. But beyond that, some carriers are also kind of going above and beyond, and they're waiving customer cost sharing or co-payments that are related to COVID-19. Whether that's like an ER visit or a doctor visit. So that's a good thing. And again, just like the premium credits and such, I'm sure you're going to have most carriers follow suit with that. And then beyond that, as far as enhancing benefits further, most carriers are coming out with like a free telehealth service. So most clients already had telehealth available. It just had like a copay, whether it's $20 or $40. Well, most of the carriers are limiting that copay right now, whether it's for 90 days or longer. So it's something that's really important right now. And then they're also adding mental health to that teleservice. So that's something that you should keep your employees up to date on, because mental health obviously right now is very important. And then just some little things. Some carriers like Blue Cross are providing virtual gym reimbursements. So obviously most gyms are closed. People are wondering what they can do with their gym reimbursements. Well, they're trying to reimburse for some of those popular programs like Peloton or MyFitnessPal or even Nike. If anyone takes advantage of any of those programs, it's worth reaching out to see if you can get reimbursement. And then lastly, employee assistant programs, I think, are a good thing to mention right now. BeneServ provides an EAP service to all of our clients at no charge. But even if you don't have something like that, I think most people will find that they have an EAP service available to them, whether it's through their health plan, like Aetna provides it to a lot of their clients, or even like a disability plan or a life plan. They'll have an EAP service that's kind of tacked on. A lot of people don't know about that. So, that provides free counseling to your employees. So it's important during this stressful time, see if that's available to your employees, reach out to your broker, see if that's something that's been added to your policy and you just didn't know about.
Yeah, and it's a great point, because from the time, what I used to sit at in the HR seat for some of these clients, the EAPs were overlooked, to a terrible degree. And like you said, it's one of those things where it could just be riding on another policy, and to nobody's fault, they just didn't know about it. But particularly now, I would imagine that the EAPs are being utilized a lot stronger than prior to all this. Um,
Sure.
In terms of challenges on the employer side, what are some of the more common challenges that you're seeing employers experiencing with employee benefits related to all this COVID-19?
Sure. So you can imagine there's so many questions coming in. Most of the time employers just want to talk things through with you, which is great. But I'm getting a lot of questions about how to handle, the benefits with, furloughing employees and what to do. Obviously, most employers want to keep their benefits intact for furloughed employees. Sometimes that's not financially viable, so they're just going to have to, lay employees off completely, which would then, COBRA would kick in. So, it's also good to keep in mind that those employees that are being laid off, COBRA is not the only option. So, maybe they can look into an individual plan, something like that. So you reach out to your broker, see what might be available in terms of that. And then another question I'm getting, which I think is kind of an interesting question, is when an employee is furloughed or temporarily laid off, and can they still maintain that right to join the plan if they're experiencing a life event? So, for instance, if an employee is furloughed and they're aging off of their parents' benefits, or even if they're not on the plan, but they're on their spouse's plan and they just lost that coverage because their spouse lost their job, can they join the health plan now? And the answer to that is almost always yes in this circumstance. It's always worth reaching out to see if there's anything in the contract that may say otherwise, but I think that's a really interesting question that, most people haven't been faced with before. And then I'm also encouraging clients to develop, employer policies for their furloughed employees, just to make sure they have everything, written down and they're following it for everyone. Most people, like I said, haven't dealt with this before, but especially right now, employers should be thinking about rehire policies and how to get employees back to work and back on the benefits. And I think they should just really lean on PROXUS with their HR guidance and, talk to their broker. And then your resource center that you guys have is phenomenal. So we've actually been, helping our clients and pointing them towards that resource center. It's something that they should definitely be following.
That's great. Appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, because the issue here potentially is, not treating all of the employees the same, or having different policies for different employees, and whether that's related to furlough or layoff or, benefits, compensation. I mean, it's no different than at any other point during the year or during, an employment term. You want to make sure you're treating people fairly. But it's taking that minute or 2 minutes just to take a step back, take a deep breath, and really look at what you're doing, how you're implementing things, and to your point again, just leveraging the support that you have, whether it's PROXUS, whether it's BeneServ, or any of the other providers out there. But just taking that extra second, I think, is critical. And then lastly, Shane, do you see any lasting changes or other, maybe not lasting, but short-term adjustments to the way that employer benefits are going to be administered due to all this? I mean, you mentioned the virtual gym reimbursement, the virtual mental health services. When I first started my career in HR back in 2008, 2009, it was right when the COBRA premium subsidy came out. Anything like that you think is going to be fallout from all this?
Yeah, and it's a good question. And you can kind of think about, what might come out of this that's good in terms of the benefits. Telehealth, I'm sure, is going to become more popular. It's something that a lot of people overlooked, and maybe they didn't even know they had it available. So that's something that's going to become more popular for primary care, but also, for the mental health part of it. And then, beyond that, I think that we're also going to see like a fast track to online benefit admin systems similar to iSolved or Employee Navigator or those type of systems. Everyone's working remotely. Employers are seeing the value of going paperless, and even open enrollments in particular, they're usually done in person with group meetings. And hopefully we get back to that. It's more personable. But I think we're most of that's going to be done virtually in the short term, and having a admin system in place is invaluable for that. So that's definitely something I think is going to fast track the implementation of those tech services.
Yep. No, it's a good point. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because when this all first started, when we started our conversation here talking about furloughed employees and terminated employees and some of the things that the carriers are doing, having that technology in place, it's great when things are operating normally, right? When if somebody's terminated, they go on COBRA, or when somebody's furloughed, they continue their benefits. But when we've got all of these kind of in the minute adjustments and things. Again, back to the communication point, we were, at least we tried to be as communicative as possible, letting our clients know that, they needed to communicate with us how they wanted their employees to be treated within the system, and kind of programming that logic in. But no, it's a good point you make in terms of the remote capabilities of all of this, and being able to communicate with your employees remotely, still distribute all of the forms and the information that they need to have legally, and certainly want to have. So it's a really good and interesting kind of view ahead and look down the road here. Well, Shane, listen, I appreciate you taking a couple minutes. I can imagine, like we said, that you guys are pretty busy answering calls and emails like the rest of us. With everyone focused on the payroll implications of recent legislation, certainly your insights into how the insurance carriers are adjusting and being more flexible is important to keep in front of our business leaders as well. For anyone that's listening that would like more information, we've got your information up here on the screen, your office number and email address. So, hopefully they can reach out to you with any questions they might have. But with that, again, appreciate your time, and hopefully everyone's doing well, and look forward to seeing you and the rest of the team in person soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.